I'm going to say this until I'm blue in the face. Solely focusing on undercutting your competitors' pricing is not a sustainable business strategy within the cannabis industry. Let me say it one more time for those in the back who can't comprehend this, and I'm going to prove my point as the video progresses. But undercutting your competitors within the cannabis industry is not a sustainable business model. First, when you undercut your competitors, you're perpetuating a cycle of a race to the bottom. For those who don't understand what racing to the bottom in terms of pricing is, think of this example. Hey, I have Ace for 30. Somebody else comes onto the market, they have Ace for 20. And then I try to counteract them because I have nothing else to offer. I don't have any type of brand. I don't have any type of moat. I'm not serving a specific type of niche or a specific type of customer. All I'm trying to do is compete on price, which is the simplest thing to do because all you have to do is go on your website, go on your menu, whatever, and you just say, hey, I'm going to reduce the price of this eighth to 20. But again, example, somebody has Ace for 30. I come onto the market. Oh shit, I'm going to have Ace for 20. Now I'm going to get all the business. Okay, well, what happens when somebody else comes onto the market and they have Ace for 15? And then now you try to, okay, I'm going to do $12 Ace. And then somebody else comes onto the market and they have Ace for 10. That is a losing game unless you have the capital, you have the infrastructure, you have the scalability to compete. And when I say that, there are grows within this industry, Glasshouse Farms, there's a couple of others, millions of square feet of greenhouse cultivation, millions, like over 3, 4, 5 million of square feet. So if you're going to compete on price, you have to compete with them if that's your goal. So me, I don't have the resources, the capital at this point to compete with a Glasshouse Farms because they're pumping out thousands of bags every single month. Probably tens of thousands of bags. So they can afford to compete on price because they have economies of scale. They can afford to make only $25 on a bag or whatever when they bust it down wholesale because they're pumping out tens of thousands of bags every month, tens of thousands of bags every quarter. So they can afford to do that because that small margin, it adds up over time when you're doing that much volume. But if you're only selling 10 bags, if you're only selling 64 Ace every month, you can't run a sustainable business if your profit margin is 5%, if it's 10%. You're not going to be able to flourish as a business. You're not going to have any profits to reinvest and continue to scale and grow the business. It's a variety of things and problems that is going to arise from not having something that is called cash flow. If you don't have cash flow, that limits the possible opportunities that your business will be able to capitalize off of. So again, I'm going to say it another time because I don't know why all these people this past week, these people jumping out the woodworks saying, hey, Neil, you don't know what you're talking about. It's all supply and demand. You guys took one economics class in high school or college and you think that you're business professionals and you never ran a business. You don't know what you're talking about. Every major business undercuts the market. No, oh my God, every major business does not undercut the market, bro. There's a lot of more complexity to when somebody told me, oh, the dollar menu, that's no, there's more complexity to that. The dollar menu is a loss leader for McDonald's. The dollar menu is there to acquire more customers, to get more foot traffic so that they can upsell you on products that have a higher profit margin. Things like soda, probably fries, the Big Mac, things that have higher profit margins. They're probably breaking even or losing money on a $1 cheeseburger or the $1 cookies or whatever. They're losing money on that, but they're banking on acquiring you as a customer, getting you into the door, and you order a cheeseburger and then they ask, hey, do you want fries? Do you want a milkshake? Do you want soda? Those are all probably higher profit margin items. So that is what they're banking on. They're not offering the dollar menu to undercut Wendy's because guess what? Wendy's has a dollar menu as well, bro. Their McDonald's is not focused. That's the problem. A lot of y'all, when you first start your business journey, a lot of people are focused on what somebody else is doing. You're trying to mimic somebody else, because that's a lot of times, even me myself, when I first started a business, you're going to look and see other competitors. You're going to look and see what other people in your space is doing. So you're going to somewhat try to follow their blueprint. You're going to follow their prices. So it's natural to be like, oh, if they're selling Ace for $15, I'm going to sell it for 12. Oh, I'm going to. But the problem is that it's a race to the bottom. Like, I've been in this industry. I've seen it time and time again. That's why when you go to California, you can go into dispensaries and get things for dirt cheap, because a lot of these dispensaries are not competing on anything other than price. They don't have any type of brand. They have no marketing. They have no influencers that they're partnering with. They have nothing that separates themselves from the competitor other than their prices. They never built any type of demand before they launched the store. It's the same thing. And that's why 95% of dispensaries, 95% of cannabis businesses fail within the first 3 years, because people do not have a strategic game plan. The first thing that they think of is, oh, I'm going to just come in and I'm going to sell cheaper than the next man, because you're not focused on what is going to separate me other than pricing from the next man. That's what most people need to figure out and what most people need to focus on. But if you want to compete on price, that's cool. I'm not saying you can't be successful with that, but why don't you do this? If you are so hell-bent on, oh yeah, that's the best business strategy, that's what everybody does, go out into the market. And it could be any type of business. Go look at whatever brand that you want. Let's say Nike, and Nike has tights. Go and make those same exact tights that Nike has, but charge $15 less, or charge half the price of what those tights are, and go sell them and see how successful you are. If you think that pricing is the only thing that matters. Oh, if I have tights for $15 and Nike has tights for $30, oh, I'm just going to outsell. Like, no, bro, it's other variables that go into a successful business. Pricing is a tool. Yes, you can strategically use pricing to acquire more customers, to give people sales, to keep people up on their toes and want to continue to shop with you and keep people excited about your brand or about your company. However, if you are only dependent on pricing and dependent on only using that tool to grow your business, it's unsustainable. So, okay, for the people that really think that's going to work, go do what I just said. Go copy a product from a popular brand, go sell it for half its cost, and see what happens. Go put together some BS website and just use that marketing ploy. Hey, we have Ace for half the price of this brand or this. It may work, but it's a gimmick. If you don't have anything behind it, if you have no brand, if you have no marketing push, if there's nothing else that's going to propel you, either somebody else is going to match those prices, or the customer is going to value another brand more or another company more than you, because they're getting more value for the money that they're paying. Because a lot of people are not only focused on the price of a particular product, there's other things that they may value. And I talk about this all the time. So yeah, that's really what I just needed to get off my chest, man. Undercutting the market is not sustainable. Every business does not do it. You can look at Apple and Microsoft. Some idiot tried to debate me saying, oh yeah, Microsoft did. Like, bro, Apple products are widely known to be more expensive than Microsoft products, and Apple is a extremely successful business. Apple and Microsoft are always 1 and 2. So if Apple does not have to compete on price and they're a top company in the game, and Apple's one of the biggest companies ever in US history and world history, what makes that any different from what you can do if you're able to actually build a brand that people love and people admire and make people feel a certain type of way when they buy your products? Because if it was only on price, everybody would buy Microsoft products, or everybody would buy whatever the cheapest computer is. But Even Microsoft is not that, they don't have the cheapest computers or the cheapest software. There's other softwares out there on the market that are successful, that may cost more, that may cost less. But the thing is, they have a brand, they have an audience. So for those who are so hell bent on pricing is the only tool and that's the only thing that matters and that's what you have to do in business, you're in for a rude awakening. Because I know anytime somebody says that, you've never ran any type of successful business. Like, you're trying to tell me, somebody who owns multiple 7-figure businesses, and you're trying to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, and you're just yapping in the comments saying that, oh yeah, the dollar menu and thing. You don't even understand the whole schematics of why the dollar menu is in place. Like, dude, and then you want to get mad at me. And because yes, weed is a commodity. Cannabis is a commodity unless you're able to build a brand behind it. Because this is what's going to happen in 10 to 15 years. And mark my words, you're going to have these huge mega companies, like these multi-billion-dollar companies. Once cannabis becomes federally legal, these huge conglomerates, they're going to come into the market, and it's going to be essentially like the medical industry. You're going to get a prescription. The quality is going to be terrible. It's going to be similar to buying a pack of cigarettes. And then you're going to have a separate niche community or a niche audience, a separate niche group of businesses or brands that are focused on the customer, the quality of the product, how the package looks, how, everything that goes into the actual experience of the product. It's not just pumping out mass amounts, because when cannabis goes federal, it's all going to be about who can produce the most at the cheapest prices. So if that is your goal, you're going to have millions and millions and millions and millions of square feet to produce and grow. I will bet a lot of money there is a very small 0.1% chance that anybody who's watching my video will have that amount of capital to compete on that type of level. So if you do not have a huge economy of scale, like huge amounts of capital to invest in acres and acres and acres and millions of square feet to cultivate and produce the most garbage amount, really not the most garbage, but produce the most amount of cannabis that is just good enough to where it's just a level of terrible quality. If you're not able to do that, you're going to get wiped out if your goal is to compete on price. However, there's going to be a set of brands that are going to operate more so as like the small batch breweries, where it's a connoisseur type. People are going and they're buying these brands for the experience, because they actually took the time to build the brand, build an audience. They understand marketing. It's not going to be about price. They're going to have their set price, and people are going to pay it because they understand, and the value is in an equal exchange. If they say it's $80 an eighth, people are going to pay that, because there's still brands today, right now, whose price is their price. They don't move and shift their price to try to compete with, oh, what is Cookies doing? Oh, what is Jeter's doing? They don't care. They're not focused on what somebody else is doing. So that's the whole thing. A lot of y'all, when we first get into business, and I was guilty of this, we go and look, we're getting inspiration from other popular businesses. We're trying to find the blueprint. So we're focusing and we're spending all of our time trying to figure out what somebody else is doing and trying to replicate that and trying to offer something just as good for a little bit cheaper. That logic, it makes sense when you're starting off, but eventually it's not sustainable, because there's going to be somebody else who has the same exact idea, because that is not an original idea. It's not innovative. And if you do not have the capital to continually produce product at the cheapest amount, you're going to get wiped out. You're going to get ate up, spit out, ran over on the road, bro. especially in this cannabis industry. And I've seen it time and time again. And the other thing, man, I know it's going to be people talking about, oh, but McDonald's does this. Oh, but this company does this, or this Fortune 5. Bro, you're not a Fortune 500 company. There's a lot of other things that go into it other than pricing. You're not looked in that same regard. Like, these Fortune 500 companies have been around for decades. They've been building their brands. They've been training their customers to spend money and to perceive their brand in a certain way, in a certain light. So you don't have that same ability. You don't have that same respect from the customer if you're just starting out, or if you've had your brand for 2-3 years. Even if you had some motion, you've had some success, that doesn't necessarily mean what you're doing currently right now is going to work 10 years from now. Business, you have to always adjust. There's different trends. There's ups and downs. It's all about how you react and how you're able to bounce back, because you're going to take losses. You're going to have times when you're up, but it's all about, how can I continue to adjust? How can I continue to evolve? How can I continue to optimize and get better every day in what I'm doing and what my business is already doing? How can I capitalize on what's working well and drop the things that are not working well? If you're not doing that, if you're so hell bent on, oh yeah, I'm just going to have the cheapest price, it's not sustainable. You're just going to keep going down the cycle of trying to beat somebody else's price, and you're not investing into anything else in your business. You're going to get wiped out, because you're not going to compete with these huge mega companies that will be coming in within the next 5 to 10, 15 years. Once cannabis goes legal, you're not going to be able to compete with them when it comes to price. So you're going to get either bought out for pennies on the dollar, or you're just going to get wiped out, because there's nothing special about you. You have no secret sauce. Anything that you do, somebody else can replicate when you are so focused on, oh, I just need to have the cheapest prices. Somebody else can come in today and replicate that. But again, video was way longer than what I expected. But if you think I'm wrong, go out into the world and go do it yourself and prove me wrong, and use that same business model. Oh, I'm just going to have the cheapest prices. Let me know how it works. Show me proof, because all these people that are saying that I don't know what I'm talking about, I don't see any type of credentials on you, is usually somebody with no profile picture, nothing, 50 followers, and saying that I don't know what I'm doing and I've never ran a business and things like that, when I have proof all on my YouTube, Instagram, everything like that, but I don't know what I'm talking about. The cannabis was just one of my businesses that I've been successful in. I have a variety of other businesses in different industries that are 7-figure businesses as well. Also, for anything within this cannabis industry, I'm your source, whether that's vendors, consultations, collabs, free resources. Hit my email, neocannabis1@gmail.com. If this video brought you any type of value, please like, share, comment, subscribe if you're new. And until next time, peace. I'm out.